Oh, hi, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we are going to be doing a mini workshop today. I just want to take a second just to update everybody, and then we will start. Just bear with me because I can't do these things before I actually start the broadcast. So, let's do this. Hi there, Jody. Hi, Katie. And hi to Jonas. Welcome. Just in case you didn't see the note, you might want to take notes or do some of the exercises. So if you haven't got a piece of paper and a pencil ready, or a pen or a notebook or whatever you like to keep notes in, you may want to do that. Okay. You graduated, Jonas. Well done. Congratulations. Jody, could you take a note for us on that one? Really great to hear. How does it feel? You know, there's something about kind of sad. Yeah. Okay, so because why kind of sad, Jonas? Just so that we all understand. I don't want to presume I understand. Hi, Chip. Good to see you. Grab a piece of paper and a pencil if you haven't got it already. We're going to be doing a mini workshop. That's if you're the sort of person who likes to take notes and actually do the work. If not, don't worry about it. Just hold on one second. I need this. I'm just trying to get the right screens up in front of me so that, and unfortunately, it doesn't work until I'm on the air. I think I'm good now. Nearly there. Yeah. Okay. So Jonas is saying that graduating is almost like mourning a friend. It is very true. Yeah, you're not going to have that constant in your life anymore, but now it's time to create that new environment. One of the things I say to people is that when we do these transitions in our lives, and by the way, life is full of these transitions. You know, I'm about to go through one as well. And so just be aware that, you know, it's up to you to create that new constant, whatever you wanted to do. Hi, Linda. Grab a piece of paper and a pencil if you need it. Linda, we're going to be doing a mini workshop today. And if you just want to listen to it, that's also fine. So Erin sent word to say that she might not be able to make it. And if she does make it, it will be late. So thank you for that update, Jody. I appreciated that. Lauren seems to be doing well. I think she's still waiting on whatever she needs to have to be able to go home. Jody, Jody, how's the heat? I believe it's been a heat issue. And for those of you who don't know about this, if ever you're struggling with heat, um, grab yourself, if you've got one of those long scarves, and dip it in water, wring it out, and then put it over your body. There is something really weird about the heat will start drying the scarf, but in doing that, you get this incredibly cool feeling. It's an amazing thing. It lasts about a couple of hours, and then you can do it again. So the other thing is to take a scarf as well and wring it out, you know, get it wet, wring it out, and just roll it around your neck. You will be amazed, just in terms of relief from the heat that does. If you have it too wet, of course, it's going to drip down your back, but that's also not a bad thing sometimes. Yeah, Ireland is saying that fear is essential for learning and to not do something stupid. If you had no fear of the hot stove, you'd do it, you know, you'd burn yourself over and over again. That is so true, right? And how many of you know that that's why parents teach us what hot means. There's hot, hot, and then there's hot, hot. So it's very important because children have no perception of what hot is until we teach them. Have you thought about that? So, how did you teach your children what hot is? And while I'm waiting for the answers on that one, if you're new to the broadcast and would like to make sure that you're updated regularly, please make sure that you click the little button. There's a bell thing somewhere on the screen. And for those of you watching on the replay, definitely it's up near my my beautiful picture of me. When I wasn't suffering from the allergies I've got today, where I'm trying to keep my eyes open, but it's a little bit of a challenge. However, that's where you do it. And also make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter, just Dear Mama Sal on Facebook and Twitter, because that's where I normally put up the advance notice of anything that's about to go on in a live broadcast. Right. Obviously, we have got, for those of you who are in the States, our Canada Day comes before your 4th of July. So if you know any Canadians, July 1st is the day to wish them Happy Canada Day. And we all know when yours is, because you always make sure we do. All right. So, Jody, I wondered, how is the latte firma doing? And for those of you waiting for the mini broadcast, we're about to start, but we normally give it a few minutes to give everybody a chance to get in. And we're nearly there, so that's great. And Beth seems to be doing a great job coping with, starting a new job and, still managing her life. So that's pretty good. And I would think that Becca probably has finished her training and is working by now. So we'll wait until she gives us an update on that one. So I'm hoping that everybody is good. All right. Any updates from anybody else that I need to add in for the evening broadcast? If you give them to me now, it would be great, because then I can type it straight in. All right. So Jody got herself a foamer so she can make her own lattes. Like, I always like to make mine. And she's saying that her latte foamer is perfection. And she's ordered a bottle of Monin salted caramel syrup. Not really. Yeah. From Amazon, right? She didn't do my trick, which is to buy the Smucker's low sugar caramel topping for ice cream. That works really well. Oh, Chip, well done. Shredding done. Yes, mine is as well. I was going to get to that, but that is great that you have done it. Does it feel better, Chip? I was actually quite surprised at what I found in the shredding. There were some things there that I went, oh, I'm so glad that I actually checked every piece of paper before. I didn't just chuck the box and shred it, throw it away. I actually checked every piece of paper before I shredded it. So there were a couple of things in there. Did you find a couple of things, Chip, or did you just shred away? I was surprised. I found, some quite important documents in that box. I went, oops, that could have been nasty, but never mind. Oh, so you can take it. So you can take the box to a FedEx location, and they will have it shredded for you. Oh, okay, that's interesting. But that's good to know. Did they charge you for that? I presume they did. But it's good for other people to know you can do that. Okay, so Chip's got shredding done. It's my next subject. All right, anybody else? They charge by the pound or kilo. Okay, fair enough. And so did you just take one box, and how big was the box, and how much did that cost? Just so people get an idea whether it's worth it or not. Okay, she had about 3 to 4 pounds. That's yeah, and they charged about $8. So you're talking about $2 a pound, right? That would be roughly the amount to expect. So weigh your box. Did that include the box? In which case, I would suggest put it in plastic bags rather than the box, because a plastic bag's going to weigh less than a box. Just a thought. All right, so Jody, just so that you have it, we're going to be coming up on 12 minutes, I would think, by the time we actually start this. And just so that you all know, we're going to be doing a mini workshop on, what if you didn't have any fear? What would life look like for you? And how many of you know that fear is something that stops you a lot? Not, for some of us it's a little, but for some of us it's a lot. Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss, Chip. But at least you gave that doggy, you know, um, you gave that doggy some wonderful mm, moments, in the last part of its life. Hi, Melek. Um, Yeah, that's Trip. I think one of the things that you have to remember, I always remember something that my vet said to me, Chip, and I'd like you to think about this. She said, because she had watched me rescue many dogs, and she said, Sal, you give dogs dignity. You rescue them and give them dignity, but you also let them go with dignity. Yes, absolutely. Your friend told you not to let the what if monster take over. Well done, Chip. Would that friend be me? If so, I'm very flattered. Yeah, my what if monster has been going overtime. And so just so you know that. All right. So we're about to do a mini workshop, and it'd be a good idea if you haven't got it already, grab a notepad and something with which to write, and so that this is for those of you who like to take notes. All right. So what does Ireland say? It would also help with crossing the road. Being aware with cars and traffic, yes, would prevent you from bringing post to your neighborhood. With the vicious dog on the front lawn, yes, fear cannot only restrain, it also protects. Yeah, I absolutely agree that some fear is healthy. But yeah, I would say that that's called a calculated risk, right? If you know there's a dog there that's pretty vicious, some people will still go and deliver mail. Um, but be aware. It's a calculated risk that you take if you go. And how many of you have thought, well, I'm good with dogs, and then realized that the dog didn't know that? I had that happen. I'm really good with German Shepherds. And I walked up to a German Shepherd that was wagging its tail, and the next thing it went for me. And I was quite stunned because that's very unusual, especially for a dog person to do it to a dog person. But luckily, my reactions were fast enough that it missed me. But boy, it was just like the owner was pretty horrified. I've got a really nice couple of quotes here. The first one, I thought some of you might need, and if it resonates with you this week, then just let me know. So, sometimes I'll look at a quote and I go, I've got a feeling somebody needs to hear that. So the first one is from Maya Angelou. And what she said was, did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I rise. Isn't that beautiful? How many of you need to stand up again and square your shoulders and move on? Yeah. And the other one, which has to do with our subject, this is by Grace Scott. I'm not sure who Grace Scott is, to be honest, but never mind it. I thought the quote was relevant. Watch a child play, and you will see real power, for they are fearless. How many of you know that the reason that children have so much fun is they don't let the what if monster get in the way. Right? They just go, I think I'll jump off this tree, or I think I'll, do X, Y, and Z, and they do it. And so whilst I agree that we have to teach some level of fear, about crossing roads or chasing a ball into the road, for example, the same as we do with our pets. I always remember one of my dogs, Bud, who came before Bean Bean. And it was interesting because when he first arrived, he went after a car. And he came off my lawn and went for the wheels of a car. I don't know why they find the wheels so interesting, but it clipped him one. Luckily, it didn't do any damage, but the owner was horrified and said, "I'm so sorry, I hit your dog." And I said, "No, you didn't actually hit him. He just got his nose bonked a bit." But I said, "I want to thank you because he needed to have his nose bonked. He needs to know cars are dangerous." So in a way, although I'm terribly sorry, and I'd like to check whether my dog did any damage to your car, um, it's an important lesson for him to learn. All right. So for those of you who are ready for the workshop, what I'm going to do is ask you a series of questions. And if you choose to write down the answers, for those of you who have the personality where you like to talk your way through things, feel free just to make comments. That was Bud. Jody's asking, was it Bud or Bean Bean barking at? It was actually not the Jeep. It was my little red Me machine, the car that I had. I had a turbocharged red number before I had the Jeep. And for those of you who don't know the story, I heard Bud bark a bark I'd never heard, and I came rushing out of my office, and he was standing up looking out of the window, and he was like prone. Do you know what I mean? His tail wasn't wagging or anything. He was just like on guard, and he was doing this really strange bark. And I looked out of the window and I couldn't understand why he was doing it because there was nothing there. And then he did it again. And when I looked, just in that split second, I saw my little red me machine take a little trip down the driveway. Probably a couple of, no, not even a foot, a couple of inches. And I literally ran for my keys and got in my car and, got the handbrake on for it. But, amazing that my dog warned me of it. And that's what I love about dogs. They might not be able to speak, but they sure can communicate. And I love that. All right, so here's your first question. Is everybody ready? How many of you actually have got a piece of paper and a pen ready? No, don't be off topic. It's fine, Jody. Or rather, don't apologize for being off topic. Hey, Kerry. Okay. So you can write and type or do whatever you want to do. Just do it your way, whatever your way is. All right. Now, I say that because some personality types will just talk their way through this, but others will actually take notes. And for those of you who take notes, hang on to these notes because they'll be important to you. Here's the first one. Imagine you have no fear of having enough money. What 5 things would you buy? If you had no fear of having enough money, what are the top 5 things that you'd like to buy? So, anybody got any input on that one? I know that some of you are busy writing, so that's okay. I'm just interested on what sort of things you would buy if you had enough money. I think I'd buy my freedom from debt. You know what I mean? If I had enough money, I would do that. Yeah, it's okay, Chip. It's 3 important ones. Can you discuss them? Yeah, Carrie says she'd buy a car, a house, and pay off her bills. Yes, I must admit that paying off my bills in terms of the house, I definitely would do that. I'd pay off my mortgage, I'd pay off my lines of credit on the house and things like that. Yeah, that. And so the question that I have for those of you who can discuss this, and if you don't want to discuss your list, that's fine. There's no reason why you have to. What would doing that bring to your life? Yeah, Chip saying a new home, a new car, and pay off debts. Isn't it amazing? We've all got, yeah, I forgot about a new car. Well, I'm not sure if maybe. Jody says she'd buy a house, a car, and do the same for her. Yeah, listen to that one. She'd do the same for her close friends and family. Good for you. But I wonder whether your close friends and family would appreciate it. By the way, there's one really sure way to find out who your family and pretend friends are, because if you ever win the lottery, they will be the first to come out and suddenly be very kind to you and suddenly be very friendly. And you're going, that's funny, they haven't spoken to me in 10 years. Suddenly you're their best friend. And you know why? You got money. I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. So money. So what does money mean to you? Is money your way to freedom? Yeah, Jonas is saying he'd probably move out of home. All right. Yes, I agree. So Chip's saying she chose those 3 because I would feel a sense of freedom rather than enslaved by those things with such debt. I quite agree. The question was, and you can answer it when you want to, maybe after the broadcast, Linda, is if you didn't have any fear of having enough money, what would you buy? Yes, money gives you options. It doesn't bring you happiness, we know that, but it gives you options. Now, one of the reasons, hi Nada, one of the reasons that I've been slow in finishing my downsizing is because, I haven't quite worked out where I want to put the money once I've done it. And if I take the next step and I'm ready to sell, I'm going to be sold and not sure where I'm living. But it was interesting. I got to talk to Benji. Benji and I had dinner this week. And one of the things that he brought up that, other close friends of mine have brought up, which is, why don't I get the luxury fifth wheel anyway and then rent out my house? In other words, turn my house, already rent the bottom of my house, but actually to rent out the top of my house and have that as the income. And I'm still working the math on that one, whether it actually gives me enough. The other thing is my house is big enough. The top floor of my house is big enough. I could actually divide it into 2 and just share the kitchen. If I, so part of me goes, I'm looking at all possible options here, because the one thing that Benji said, and funny enough, in different ways, my other friends have said, which is everything you're looking for, you already have. Do you know what I mean? So, am I moving to take on somebody else's problems? Why don't I just deal with my own here? And so it is an interesting exercise to have a look at it and go, okay, fine. If I did this, this, and this, how could I do that? Okay, so Katie is saying you're lucky. Those of you who can drive, you're lucky that you can drive every day. She bought her first and only car that she could personally drive in 2010. And then because she had medical issues, she needed to replace her driver's license with the state ID. Yeah, that is really sad. Katie, all these questions, understand that um, they are things that choose to see them in a different way. And I'll talk you through that in a second. Right, Linda's saying that she came into money last year, not enough to retire. I got the house, a car, etc., but it's not what's waiting for you. She still misses the chase, the challenge. Yeah, it's funny because I must admit, I bought my house with an inheritance, or put down a fair deposit with an inheritance. Um, And in a way, I look back on it and say it was a great way to invest the money. Part of the reason I will immediately buy, but I will buy outright when I move, uh, unless I decide to rent the house, is so that I will lock up that money. And if I rent the house, the equity stays in the house, if that makes sense. So, and it will hopefully continue to appreciate. So think about that. What would money bring you? And can you get it a different way? So for those of you who think it's going to make you happy, understand that's not what this is about. This is about, we get tied into the fear. Somebody taught me once, if you're going to buy an appliance, buy a good one. Uh, but I've always bought the top end of the middle. Do you know what I mean? You got high end and you got the middle, and then you got low cheap ones. I normally buy the high end of the middle range because that's actually normally the best bang for your buck. Yeah, Jody's saying that a beach cottage in Maine sounds pretty nice. Yeah, until the nor'easter comes in, Jody. I actually visited Maine, and I visited some people who live on the coast, and a nor'easter came in while I was there, and I'm going, yikes, that is pretty scary stuff. Yes, Chip is saying that she sees it as having more money, simply as having more options. That's good. Yes, Katie, I miss working a lot as well. I also am living on a very, very reduced income because I've retired. So mine is for different reasons, but yes, obviously, but we adjust and we learn to enjoy things differently, I believe. All right, let's move on to the second question. And that is, imagine if you had no fear of hurting a friend. What truth would you want that person to know? You have no fear of hurting anybody, and there aren't going to be any negative repercussions. What would you tell a friend? Ice pack sounds good, Kerry, although I'm pretty certain you're already doing that. Katie would tell her friend that she hurt her emotionally back at school. Okay. Anybody else got any feedback on that one? If you had no fear of hurting a friend and being punished for it, what truth would you want that person to know? Wow. Yeah, Kerry's saying you broke my heart, but you're still my family. That's lovely. Wow. Listen to this one. Chip saying you only reach out for your business related convenience. Yikes. Like, something, Chip, if that is true, then I think that goes under the category of pretend friend. Why? Malik saying she would tell her friend that she doesn't need to be jealous all the time regarding stuff other people can afford. Yeah, Chip, you know something? It's really funny. A friend of mine coined that one day, and I just went, "What?" And she said, "Oh no, that's a pretend friend." That's not a real friend. That's a pretend friend. If they only reason they are friendly to you is because they want something from you, that's a pretend friend. Wow. And Jody, listen to this. Jody's saying, I'm not afraid of you. You may be able to bully others, but you can't get away with it with me. Yeah, exactly. And then Nada's saying, they used to drain happiness. They put on an act when people come to visit. She should be herself and take care of her house and self more. Not for other people, but for herself. They are trying to impress others. I used to do that. Yeah, but here's Jonas's take on this one, all right? I can't think of anything because I'm only friends with people who I trust won't judge me for what I tell them. So feel that most of my friends are people I'm not afraid of telling anything to. Yay, that's a good friend. Exactly. And that's exactly the point, right? If they are a friend, a true friend, you should being a bad word in my book, but you oughtn't. No, well, no, that's also not. If they're a true friend, you can tell them the truth. It may disturb the status quo a little bit, but if they are a true friend, if a true friend asks me, how do you like what I'm wearing? I'll go, do you need me to be straight on that one, or do you want me to tell you I love it? Which I reckon gets the message over. Yeah, Kerry's saying she'd tell that person, you used to guilt me into things, but no more. Yeah, again, anybody who guilts you into things is probably a pretend friend, right? So I think that it's important. Yes, would you like me to be polite or honest? Yes. Socially acceptable, or do you really want to know what I think? Find some way. And what I'm amazed about is how many of my friends appreciate the fact that I don't sugarcoat things. If I really think it sucks, I go, this is just for me. you know. It wouldn't be my first choice for you. That color scheme or that haircut or whatever. But the important thing is, do you like it? So I always swing it back again, because the important thing is, does the person who just had it done, or just bought it, do they like it? And if so, they, they need to be happy on their own terms. Okay, Kerry, again, if you didn't hear it earlier, grab a scarf, if you've got one somewhere, get it good and wet, wring it out, and then put it over you, and you'll be amazed how that cools everything down. The other thing is, if you're capable of doing it when you can a little bit later, I know you're busy working on that knee at the moment, but literally go into the shower at the normal temperature you would have it at, and then gradually bring the temperature down. You'll be amazed, if you just do it a little bit at a time, how far down you can get that temperature and still go, wow, that feels so much better. Because what you're doing is, if you like, you're showering off the extra heat in your body. Right. So Nada's saying, I have a family friend who peer pressures us to drink. And even knowing that Nada is sensitive to booze. And they try and get you to drink and drive. Yeah, what sort of friend is that? Yeah. So you understand, what they really want is, they want you to drink so that they will feel that they're not the only idiot in the room. All right. I want to tell you, I was quite horrified watching my sister one time cook a meal, and she poured a really incredible amount of booze into the sauce that she was making, that went all over the food. And I said to her, excuse me, I said to her, did you put up a little note to warn people that you've got, half a bottle of booze in there? She said, what? And I said, did you warn people that you've got a lot of booze in there? She goes, no. Why should I? And I said, because some people are sensitive to booze. Thank you, Carrie. Some people are sensitive to booze. I don't have those sort of friends. I'm going, okay. because I don't know too many people who are sensitive to booze that start the conversation by saying, I'm allergic to booze, or I'm allergic to, you know, I have to say that I am allergic to garlic before I eat anything, which makes it very difficult for me to visit people that don't know me very well to eat, because I end up normally having to bring my own food, which I normally do surreptitiously put some food into my purse before I go, so that if they haven't got anything that isn't laced in garlic, that I can actually eat something. I normally take a bun or something with cheese and cucumber or something, so I got something to eat. If everything's got garlic in it. So that's called being aware, I guess. So can you guys see that having a friend that you can't tell the truth to is a bit of a question mark to me? I was sitting with my friend Marnie this week, and one of the things that and she is what? She is nearly 30 years my junior. Um, and it's like, I'm amazed how incredible we are about, just saying our truth. And we can disagree on something, and we just agree to disagree on it, and it's fine. You see, I think that's what a friend is. So I have no fear of discussing anything with my friend Marnie. I have no fear of discussing anything with Yvonne. All right, because they, and a couple of other people, that it's really important that you understand that that is the measure of a friend, that you can tell them stuff that probably nobody else knows, but they don't use it against you. All right, how many of you have had that one? And so my question is, if they are a friend, why haven't you told them? Right? Yes, and so perhaps that's something you want to have a look at this week, which is, where are my true friends and which ones are my pretend friends? And as Melek says, that you can easily tell, because the ones that are your true friends are the ones you tell everything to. Yeah, Kerry. So Kerry's saying she considers herself honest and to the point, but some people think you're rude. Okay, yes, that is very true. So I always check first, Kerry. Do you want me to be um do you want sympathy, or do you want to really know what I think? Nada, go right ahead and tell us the news. Jody will take a note, and we will be aware of it. Hi, Erin. Well done. You made it. So, Erin, how are the results coming in? For those of you watching this on the replay, Erin's waiting for um, some blood work. Yeah, I think there are ways of telling your truth. All right, I don't know about the rest of you, but even with my friends, I may tell them the truth, but I try not to make it hurtful. Nada, that is awesome. I'm not going to talk about that, but I see what you've written, and I think that is wonderful. It is difficult work to do, and I really applaud you for taking the step to go and do it. That is really good. Yeah, Kerry, and that's it, isn't it? You can tell the truth, try and do it in a kind way. And sometimes I'll say, I really need to give you a 2x4 here, but I don't know a nice way of saying it. Well, Nada, that's what we do. All right. We encourage people to get the help they need. You deserve to work through this stuff, Nada, in my view. You deserve it, right? And those of us who've been through it will tell you it's not easy stuff, but it's worth it. Some of you may know that I'm busy rereading The Artist's Way. Oh, okay, Erin. I'll get that information from Jody a bit later. And that's great. Thank you for doing that. The information that she has, can I share it with people? Just so that I know. All right. And while we're waiting for that feedback, how about if you had no fear of hurting a spouse or a family member as opposed to a friend? What would you want that person to know? Thanks, Nada. It's Friday lunchtime. We try and do some of the work on Fridays. All right. What would you want that spouse or loved one to know? For those of you lucky enough to have that person in your life, or somebody very close to you. Wow. Okay. So for those of you who know Erin and watching this on the replay, she's just let us know that apparently there's a possibility that she may have multiple autoimmune diseases, not just one. Yeah, Erin, that is pretty scary stuff, right? But the good thing is to know that that's been causing the problem. So that hopefully you'll be able to get answers to at least some of those. I certainly didn't realize that I had autoimmune problems until in the last 5 years, I think. Wow. So we're hearing that they would say that they are self-sabotaging themselves and holding themselves back from all their goals and dreams, and that it's hard to watch a friend do that. Nada, I'd like you to be aware of something. Everybody will actually do what you want them to do in their own speed, and when they are healthy enough to do it. I understand what you're saying, and I've had that happen with close friends that I get frustrated. Why can't they see? Da, 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 da. But the thing is, they can't see it because they're not ready to deal with it yet. Right? And so our learning is, perhaps to read the Serenity Prayer a little more often. God grant me the serenity to change the things I can and step away from the things that I can't, and I and to know the difference between the two. So my new thing is understand anybody who is doing that is probably hurting at some level. That's what we're here to learn. Exactly. All of us. Yeah. Okay. And here's another one. What if you had the greatest ability in the world and had no fear? What would you do for humanity? And I think that's a really important thing for people to be aware of. You know, for some of you, it's rescue dogs, right? Katie would write a book. I I th- I believe that issue for me, and that is asking. She wonders what my answer is. I repeat it regularly to people. Nida, I actually do that. I always wanted to just help people. When I say just help people, doing exactly what I'm doing right now. Yes, Erin. So that's a loaded question because there's so much you'd like to do, but you wouldn't know where to start. Erin, were you here when we were talking about mind mapping? So I could help you right now if you would like. Okay. Jody would spend her life helping disabled animals in some capacity. Yeah. All right. So let me help you with this. Erin, um, and Kerry, because you're both busy not knowing where to start. This is what you do. Give me one thing you'd like to do. Nada would like to rescue ponies. Interesting. Where would you put them? So, Erin and Kerry, give me something that you would like to do for humanity. And I'm going to do this process with you, but just do it for each of the things you got. You got so many, but you don't know where to start. That is that is a great way for not doing anything. Do you understand? That's the ultimate excuse for everybody, which is, oh, I got so many great ideas, I don't know where to start. Well, start with one of them. So give me one idea, Erin, and I will show you how to mind map it. Okay. Yes, Jonas, go back to the previous question if you want. All right, so Kerry, let me help you and Erin at the same time. What you do is you draw a circle and put your goal into the center of it. Kerry, do you understand what I'm saying? And then two branches coming off saying who, what, why, where, when, and how. Who is it that you want to help? What is it you want to help them with? Why do you want to do that? You always need to know the why. What will it do for you? Where would you do this? And then just start doing sub branches. Do you understand the issue? Just start doing sub branches of each of these. when would you do it, and how? And then for each of the little sub branches, then, have another piece of paper if you like. I actually start this on a big piece of paper and put that into the center. So Kerry wants to be a peer support specialist. All right. So again, all right. So Erin, we weren't talking about this earlier. So there were just different questions earlier, honey. All right. So again, just put, I'd put in the center here, I need to go to my dad's girlfriend. And then again, ask yourself who. I need to do this. What? I need to go visit. Why? Because of whatever your reason is. Where do you need to go? When and how? All right. If you can answer all those, you probably have a pretty good way of where to start. And if you haven't, for each sub thing, ask yourself who, what, why, where, when, and how, and keep doing that, because you will end up with a very good map of, yeah, exactly, Kerry. And so let's work with that, Kerry, so people can get an idea. So who would need to help you with that? Anybody other than yourself? Who would you like to have help you with that? So we're going to ask those questions, everybody, just so you know. Kerry's saying she'd like to help people with mental health struggles. And then, okay, so you want to do it with your friend. What is it you want to physically do? Think about that. What is it you want to do? You want to help them, what? Feel better about themselves? I want to help them know they're not alone. What is it that you want to convey? Not how you're going to do it, but what is it you want to give them? What is the gift? All right, so we're working on the what here. So I'm going to just do. All right, so I've added on here your friend Mindy. All right, because that's what you do. Do you need to talk to her about this, by the way? So think about that. All right, so you want them to know they're not alone. What? I'm just writing that down for you. Okay. Why? Why do you want to do that, Kerry? All right. So ask yourself on your go, why do I want to do that? It is very, very important to know your why. Because you understand what it's like. Okay. Any other reasons? And by the way, if you notice, I'm not adding reasons in for Kerry. What I want her to do is think about what is her why, right? Because what happens is we presume we know why people want to do things, and it's not true. You need to give people a chance to tell you their why. Erin, I hope you're getting the idea from watching what I'm doing here. Okay, so Kerry answered, I want people to know they're not alone in their struggle, regardless of what their struggle is. Right. Um, so I'm going to add. Now, Kerry, I know you pretty well, and so I feel comfortable asking you this question. What will it do for you? So that's also part of the why. What will it bring you by being able to do that? You see, that's one of the reasons for the why. What reward are you going to get from doing this? Because you will. And that's not a bad thing. Erin, if you've got any questions on this, just fire them off. And anybody else? I'm trying to find out now, what is Kerry's motivation for doing this? Other than, I understand she wants to help people and she wants them to know they're not alone and that she understands. There we go. It would make me feel like I'm making a difference in at least one person's life. Yes, you want to know that you're making a difference. Good one. And that is very important. That's probably the most important question on any of a mind map is the why. Do you know why you're doing this? Okay, good. So where? Can you do this right where you are right now? When I say that, excuse me, people, can you do this from your present home? Can you, do you, are you thinking about doing it on the computer? Are you thinking about doing it in workshops? So the question is, where are you going to make this difference? Is this helping any of you to see this go down? Yes, and that's why under Mindy, I put this little, you see where I put this little extra thing under Mindy? Here, right here. All right, you need to talk to Mindy. Right. Good. Okay, so that's something you need to do. You need to talk to Mindy and see whether it's something she wants to do as well. Very good, Kerry. All right, so now let's move on to the next question. We got the where. All right, so that's what I want to find out. This way that you want to help them, where do you want to do that? For example, and I'm just giving this example for everybody else. For example, my why is also to make a difference, and I realize I can do that anywhere, any day of the week, either by my computer or by going out and making somebody's day. When I'm going shopping. So I know that the where is everywhere for me. You're right. Which is I know I have the ability to make a difference in people's life. And sometimes it can be by the simplest thing. So that is important that I know my where is absolutely anywhere. Right. So Kerry's giving an example. She could do this in a public place. When you say getting a drink, do you mean alcohol or water or whatever? Okay. So, Kerry, my experience has been that when I tell people what I do with DearMamaSal, I will normally say to people, "Oh, and thank you for that because I'm on YouTube and I love your story. I'd love to tell it." Uh, and they go, "What do you do on YouTube?" And I said, "I help people. I'm like a Dear Abby on YouTube." And they go, "Wow, I've got a friend who's got a problem." Now, when they tell me that, I normally smile and I go, "Is it a very close friend?" Because can you let that very close friend know that they can contact me anytime? And here's my card. Because, normally they'll laugh and they go, "Actually, it's me." And I go, "Yeah, I know." So it's very important that you know where can you do this. And what we normally do is, "Oh, well, I'd need to do this and I'd need to do this." The reality is 9 times out of 10, your where is the easiest question to answer. And the answer is everywhere if I want to, right? I can just do this anywhere. Good. Oop, I just dropped the pen. Ah, right. So, Kerry, did you hear that thing that Sakura was telling me? About we need to take our weight in pounds, halve it, and drink that many ounces of water a day. Mm. And there I am talking about you. Is that a coincidence? I don't believe so. All right. So I found out, Sakura, I need to drink 3 of these a day. I'm up to 2 now. Your timing is perfect. All right. So, Kerry, we're up to when do you need to do this? And by the way, Sakura, I add a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of vanilla, and a little bit of lemon juice into my water. So it just has good stuff in it. But it tastes, just takes away the taste of plain water, which I don't like too much. Wow. So when do you want to start this, Kerry? Okay, so she's saying straight away. She's going to contact Mindy straight away. So now is the when. Okay, good. And how? First step is contact Mindy. Okay, so you understand this is how a mind map works. Now, if you don't know, the question is, Kerry, can you see how this sort of gets you a bit more focused by doing this? And what I then do is I would highlight the steps that I can take this week. Right? But do you also understand if you had this at the center of a big piece of paper, you can keep building on this? For example, I would take the talk to Mindy and put another branch out and say, what do I want? What, why, when, and how? In other words, I would ask more questions about, am I prepared to talk to Mindy? Do I have the right information? What is it I want to ask her? When do I want to make that text call? All those sort of things. Are you all getting the idea of this? So the most important questions for anybody to answer is who, what, why, where, when, and how. If you can answer those questions, you have the roadmap for where you need to go. So who else had something they wanted to do for humanity? Let me look back here. Trying to go back. All right. So Kerry's saying, that she said she'd like to rescue animals or write a book and help people. All right. So you could do one of these for each of those, Kerry, just so I can see that. Jonas, I just looked back on a note and I need to give you a heads up on something. Is it true that that person forced you to reveal something about yourself, or did you choose to tell them because you caved? Now, this is pretty tough stuff, but what I need you to know, Jonas, is that we can only get forced to do something if we agree to it. Okay, Carrie, so hopefully I'm sure she'll write to me if she needs me to help. Yep. Not a problem at all. Thanks for letting me know. So, wow. Sakura's saying that she's staying at a hotel and she watched housekeeping use one sponge to clean the bathroom. And she started with the tub, and with the same sponge, she cleaned the toilet and the inside of the toilet and then the sink. I would actually, you know what I would do, Sakura, but then that's me. I would actually go to reception and ask to speak to whoever's in charge of housekeeping. They'll probably give it to you and say, this is not what I thought. This is what I actually witnessed. And I'm sure this is not your policy. And therefore, I don't want to get this person into trouble, but I was horrified that the sponge that had just come out of the toilet was then used to clean my wash hand basin. And Sakura, if you don't say something, you understand that you will be. How would you feel if you knew for a fact that the next person to use your room got some sort of bug? Okay, so your mother-in-law will speak to them. All right, good. As long as somebody does. I've done that a lot of times, which is, hey, I'm not here to get somebody into trouble. I'm here to make sure that your guests are safe. That's different. And most management will appreciate the difference between the two. I mean, that is disgusting, quite honestly. And I'm pretty sure you're not in a, sub-zero type, place. If you're at a convention, you're probably at a halfway decent hotel. And so they would want to know that, quite honestly. And so a little bit of retraining is needed. And that's why, quite honestly, when I'm at a hotel, I actually let them come in and clean. And I just say, no, you carry on and I'll be working at the computer. But I want to know as well, how do they clean? Number one being me, I want to pick up some tips, how they do it that quickly. But number two, what I want to know is, what didn't they do? So did any of you have any questions about doing that mind map? We talked about the mind map before. Thank you, Jody. For those of you who are watching on the replay, Jody just donated $5, and I'm really grateful for that, Jody. And if you find the mini workshops useful to you, please feel free, if you're watching it on the replay, to go to the DearMamaSal.com website, and then just, you can drop a little donation in there. Every bit helps. It all goes towards paying for the websites and, all the other bits that you'll be amazed how much it costs to be a full-time YouTuber. So yeah, and Jody's saying for those people who are watching now, you can just donate whatever you want, because when you click the dollar button underneath here, there's a little slider and it allows you to say how much money you'd like to donate. All right, if you don't have the money, the other way, and that's something that I always like to tell people, there is a really good way that you can support me if you don't have the money and it won't cost you anything. Are any of you interested in that? And that is if you go to buy anything on Amazon, just go in through any of the links that are in the notes below this video. And just literally click on any of those links and go in that way. And then whatever you buy or whatever you do there, they actually give me credit for that. I'm sorry to hear you're in pain, Carrie. That's very sad. Carrie, I wonder if you could do me a favor just in the short term. If I could just ask you to text something to Erin while I continue the broadcast. Just let her know that I'd be more than willing to help her with whatever it is that she's struggling with. The reason I didn't use her example and used yours was purely because I know that you can type really fast back again. And I know that Erin needs to talk it through, and I wasn't sure if she was up to that at the moment. Hi, Pat. Are you on vacation again? It's a long weekend here in Canada because it's Canada Day weekend. So, is it a long weekend in the States as well? No problem, Pat. Good to see you, and enjoy your vacation time. So here's my next question to you all. If you had no fear about your ability, in other words, you had, in your mind, you were more than capable of doing anything, what would you do for yourself? Not for humanity, but for yourself? But is Tuesday a holiday for you? Sorry, Wednesday a holiday for you, though, right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Right, Wednesday is a holiday. I always have to think about it pretty hard because it's my sister's birthday on the 3rd, and then, of course, you guys have got the 4th. So, what would you do for yourself if you thought, you had the ability to do anything? What would you do if you had no fear of your ability? And this is not for humanity now. What one thing would you do for yourself? It's your birthday on July the 4th? Hmm. Good for you. Well, we'll try and remember to wish you and America a happy birthday. So Carrie says she'd treat herself to a smoothie. Do you have the ability to make it? Ah, it's interesting. I like that. Sakura's saying she'd like to make her own country and have people live freely and do reciprocal governing in which you have no money but live harmoniously. Okay, so you would how would you mend the roads and how would you pay for okay, you're saying reciprocal. So the garbage person would get something for free rather than getting paid, right? Jodi's saying she'd get rid of all her emotional baggage and fears. Yeah, careful what you wish for, Jody. um, because when Jodi's saying she'd like to wipe out all those, get rid of all her emotional baggage and fears in one fell swoop. Uh, that would be a gift. Yeah, unless you died in that process, because you could say that dying would bring you all of that. And I don't think that's what you mean. Sakura, you'd like everybody just to pitch in and do what's good for everybody. That is your utopia, right? But wouldn't you want people to do it for themselves? Isn't that the ultimate, that we learn how to do it for ourselves and thereby teach others? Because I meet an awful lot of people in the world that want everybody else to do it for them. They're not prepared to do that work themselves. So I just want to make sure I've got this right in my mind. Yeah. So Jody, you understand why I put the "be careful what you wish for" rider on that, and not that I want to dampen your wish. I understand where it's coming from, but I would, because you have very strong abilities in my mind, Jody. I would say that it would be my ultimate wish, as long as it didn't mean dying, in the process of that. Because people have got a bad headache. I will make a joke and say, well, if you chop off your head, it'll go away. But it's like, most people don't want that cure. By the way, I'm very selective who I say that to. They have to be pretty good friends, but it's just like, um, Jody, I think you've been doing a great job step by step. You've got big burdens that you're dealing with, and I think you're doing a great job. And I love your process. Your process is wonderful. So as we work through these different, Yeah, it's interesting, Sakura, that if you read Sakura is saying if you read The Host by Stephanie Meyer, the aliens got rid of money and just do what we do, but with no money involved. All right. Now, was there a reason? I mean, what is money? Money is just a token. That's what it was originally. A token. It's like a Bitcoin, right? It's all right. So what we've got is originally money was just an IOU almost. It's like, okay, fine, thank you for that. I haven't got any sheep and pigs today, but I'm going to give you a coin. Um, that says I owe you something. So if you look at it, do we have to wait for utopia to do that, or can we be doing that all the time? And that's what the aliens story is about. It's why do we wait for this? Why don't we just do it? Makes sense. Yeah, Sakura, I really would recommend that you check back the history of how we started to use money, because originally that is what we did. We literally bartered everything. The baker would give you bread. Um, the the farmer would give you oats or a chicken. Uh, and if you think about it, in rural third world countries, quite often the doctor gets paid by stuff, not by money, but because people still don't have money. And so what they will do is they will bring food or they will bring whatever in payment. They understand that they owe you something. But because they don't have money, they will bring something. And so have a good look at how money started up and the intent of it. And that, we just got a little bit out of control on that one, I think. Now, one of the things that Benji and I were talking about, and it has to do with money, um, was that he was asking me, where is the market, housing market in where I live right now? Is it at the top or is it cresting over and going down? And one of the things, of course, that we were discussing, it doesn't really matter where you sell your house, unless you're going to keep just the money. And the reason is because, let me try and do this so that we'll have a bit of a financial discussion now, but never mind. Let's say that this is my house and this is the market, right? Now, at the moment, my house is continuing to grow in value with the market. Does that make sense? Because the market is going up, let's say. Does it make sense to everybody? And the value of my house is going with it. Now, what happens if the market is going down? How many of you can see that the value of my house will drop a little bit? So obviously, intellectually, you would think, okay, fine, the best time to sell your house is when it's at the top here. Yes and no. Think about this. If the market has taken a downswing and the value of property is going down, then do you understand that the value of the property I may want to buy is doing the same thing? I wonder if that makes sense to anybody. Not only is the value of my house going down, but the chances are the value of all houses is going down. Now, it could be that houses are going down a bit, but apartments are still rising. That's possible. All right. So But, I think we get so tied up in, "I've got to sell it now because it's the top of the market," and da 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 da, when it's not true. Okay, I just wanted to make that point to people because sometimes people don't think, "Oh gosh, I've missed the top of the market. It started to dip," and I'm going, "Yeah, but so is everybody else's." And then, however, what it is good to do is to sell while it's still a seller's market. Because if it dips too far down, then it becomes a buyer's market, right? Everybody's trying to get rid of their houses, and now the buyers get the power. So it's a good idea to sell before that happens, or not sell. Make a decision not to sell until it swings again. Yes, I don't know too many properties that over the course of the long term, haven't continued to go up in price. Um, if you think about it, the downswing in the States when you had the housing crisis, some properties dropped as much as 30% in value. So the only people it would really affect are the people that needed the money, all right? Not the people that were trying to rebuy. It's the people that needed the money and weren't going to spend it again. So that's when a 30% drop, that means my house is valued X today, but tomorrow it could be worth 30% less. And if that's the money I wanted to pull out and live on, that could affect me. But if I'm doing this to rebuy somewhere, it doesn't matter. It was horrible, Jody. I know that. And a lot of people lost their homes because they just couldn't afford when the reality hit. They just couldn't afford to keep their homes. It was a terrible thing. But I'm pretty certain, Jody, that everybody learned a very big lesson. They learned not to buy properties that they can't afford. My question was, what if the market is turning now, and we also will see an increase in rates. And so will I be able to um, pay the extra interest on my mortgage, right? I have to look at those things now because I'm retired. Before, when I was earning money, the chances are that my salary would increase, but pensions don't increase like salaries. So therefore, I have to be really aware of, if suddenly, my mortgage increased by quite a bit, what would I be able to afford the mortgage? Now, the answer is probably for a little while, but not for long. So these are questions that we look at. However, if I let the fear take over, I won't do anything except, get put into a different situation. Part of me went, my house is big enough that I could actually divide the top if I needed to and share it. I already have the bottom rented out, so I could divide the top. It's big enough. I could turn my dining room into my art studio, and I could just share the kitchen, and that was all. So you look at it and you go, "There's always a way if you're looking for a way." And so, what I'm trying to say to you is that life is full of choices if we want there to be. How many of you know that in your life you let fear of the unknown or fear of what could happen? You know, for some of us, our ill health is our fear. What what am I going to do? When my health deteriorates, or in my case, what would I do if I've always asked myself this question because I want to be prepared. What if I lost my sight? How would I still continue to help people? What if I lost the use of my voice? How would I still help people? I always want to ask myself those questions, not because I'm negative, because I want to make sure I know that there are ways to continue. Yes, and it's very important to live in the moment. That's, Sakura's saying that. Um, So to me, this is about we could waste our life away worrying about the what ifs and not be happy today. right? That we're so busy wondering about the what ifs that we don't actually live life today. Now, here's an example of that. Um, it's been beautiful weather, and I still haven't taken the trailer out and spent a weekend or so away with my trailer. How many of you know that, in my mind, I need to be packing up stuff rather than, going off on a weekend? But, maybe if I went away on a weekend, maybe, I would have fresh ideas about what I want to do and come back and do that work better. We don't know. So, all the time we are making these choices. This is the whole point that I'm trying to say. And if you want to really do a mind map of your life, what you do is you put, you do the mind map and put up one spoke is financial, one spoke is your health, one spoke is your friends and family, and one spoke is your spirituality. How many of you have great faith? And what are you doing with it? All right. And how are you going? Having great faith is one of the greatest gifts you can be given. And so, how do you choose to use that incredible gift of faith? Do you give hope to other people? If so, then, then you have shared your gift. Yes, and Jodi's saying during this downsizing process, you absolutely deserve and need to take care of yourself. And she says she's so proud of me. Oh, Nada, that is so kind. Nada saying that my voice is so relaxing no matter what the topic. I just wanted to do a little mindfulness here because when we get into that vortex of I've got so much to do, but I don't know how to do it or where to start, do you understand that doing a mind map, taking the time just to do a mind map is a pretty good idea? Because hopefully it will start sorting you out. Now, for those of you who've got emotional baggage, as I've said, I'm busy rereading The Artist Way. And what I find in there, one of the questions it talks about is, who are the monsters in your life? Who are the people that really did a number on you? Now, a lot of you can say, why would you go back to that? It's gone and you're over that. And I'm going, no, it'll always be there to some degree. For some people, the monster in your life could be your health, or for some people, the monster in your life is your lack of money. But you need to know where your monsters are, right? Because if you can acknowledge your monsters, whether that's your fear, we go back to Dr. Jerry Jampolsky. Love is letting go of fear. So if you want to live a beautiful life, let go of the fear. Hi, Erin. Welcome back, honey. So you understand. So if we can let go of the fears through whatever means we need to, whether we go and get help, whether we have friends we can tell the truth to, however we choose to get rid of our fears is a good thing. I would really recommend Dr. Susan Jeffers. You've probably heard me talk about her before. She writes some really good stuff about Feel the Fear But Do It Anyway was the title of one of her books. And if you look in the links in the notes below, you'll see that I've got a link to books I recommend. But Susan Jeffers said that, feel the fear. It's okay to have the fear. You remember what Jonas was saying? We need to fear the traffic, right? Because otherwise we get run over. Uh, we need to not just jump into swimming pools regardless of how deep they are. We need to check how deep they are so we know how deep we can, how big the jump is. If the swimming pool's only this deep, you don't want to do the same jump that you might do if it's 10 feet deep. Make sense? So that's called calculating your risk. What Susan Jeffers talks about is how to overcome the fear. It's okay to feel fear, but don't let it immobilize you, because it's so easy for that to happen. And that's really what I wanted people to think about. What if you had no fear? How would your life be different? And I'm presuming that you have the faith to know that you would still know what was dangerous. But what if you didn't stop yourself at almost every angle? How many of you can feel you do that? You have a good idea that comes to you, and then you think, yeah, but I could waste a lot of money, or I could da, but I could do this, that, and the other. But what if you didn't? So part of me goes, work hard this week or work smart this week and talk back to your fears. Now, are any of you good at doing that? And I ask that question because even if you spend the week being aware of your fears, it would be a good thing. And also, I go back to Sakura's point. Yeah, not all the time, Erin. I'm not good at it all the time either. And also, I spend a lot of time talking to people who know me really well, Erin, because I want them to tell me, what haven't I seen about myself that I haven't thought out yet? Do you understand? So I use my friends as a mirror to tell me, okay, what do you see in me are the main things I need for if I move? And it's amazing what they come back with, by visiting me and seeing me in my own home. The things that they see are important to me. I hadn't realized it, by the way, until I thought about it. That out of both the front and back of my house, I see trees. Because I'm up one level, all right, because I rent most of my downstairs, I actually see the top part of trees at both the back and the front. I don't see traffic. I don't see cars. I don't see things except maybe the top of people's houses and trees. And that's actually, I realize, is a very important thing to me. And so when I've been looking at possible apartments, right, I keep going, gee, that's got a view of the dumpsters and the car park. I don't think so. I don't think I want to spend the next 15 years looking at the dumpster. So to me, these things are important, and you don't realize they're important until you start doing the research and you find out what's important to you. It's not necessarily things that you realize. Until you see what you definitely don't want, you can see what it is that's important. So anytime I'm busy on the internet, sort of doing research, I do two things. I wait for my reaction. Oh, I don't like that. And I go, good. Why don't you like it? Well, look at the view from the balcony. And I'm going, okay, view from balcony is important, So, do you understand that we need to be more aware? And I have to believe that somewhere in my reality, I can check a lot of the boxes. I know I won't be able to check them all. But, is light more important to me than size of the house? Maybe so, right? And I would say that having a light place is really important to me. That it has a feeling of airiness, of open plan, of whatever. However, I have seen that in 400 square feet. It's amazing where if the design is right, you can feel that in a really small space. I realize that I don't necessarily need, over 1,000 square feet. I probably could exist in half that if I really wanted to, but where would I put my stuff? Right? So this is the other thing. I have packed up a lot of stuff. And that's just in this room. Can you imagine? And so, the reality is, where would I put my stuff in 400 square feet? Well, it's quite simple because I've done it now, and I know. You see, I went through my house, and I literally, as you know, I'm taking every drawer, every whatever, and throwing half of it away. That's just the easiest way to downsize that I know. So every QB I bring out and I go, okay, this has got this item in it. So put everything on the bed, only put half of it back. And so now if I had to downsize down to 400 square feet, for example, you understand I would go through all those boxes and I would need to halve it again. Because I currently live in, well, I'm not going to even count what I've got downstairs. But, upstairs, I've got over 1,200 square feet. So I've already downsized it down to about 600 if I don't count what's downstairs, and I'd have to throw everything downstairs away. But now I'd have to take these boxes and downsize them one more time, and I'd be able to fit my stuff into, that half size again. Does this make sense to anybody? And my furniture, I would have to make some decisions about. I have a beautiful big glass table that seats 6. Well, if I've only got 600 square feet, that's not gonna work. But would I want to take the table anyway because it's glass and makes a great craft table, right? So that's how I think. Would I want to make room for it in that space just so that I had a table that I could throw paint on and the paint would come off easily, or I could, do whatever? Yes, I need one big table in my life because I'm a crafty person. So, these are the things that we look about. So I don't have a fear of the size of the space. I guess part of me goes, I have a fear of what am I going to have to let go of next. And how many of you can imagine you're going, yeah, but if I get rid of that, you can bet I'm going to want it next week. How many of you know that one? Which is like, I just threw that away. So in reality, let me ask you something. How many of you have got more than 2 sets of sheets in your house? Or but yeah, I say your house, but whatever it is, apartment or whatever. How many of you? Right. Why? Now, I say that, but you may have a set for the spare room, guest bed or whatever. Jody's saying about 12, all right? So why? Because you're not stupid. Why do you keep 12 sets of sheets? Because there's a good reason why. I am just about to literally throw away about a dozen teacups. No saucers, apparently, but teacups. Why have I kept a dozen teacups? Well, in case somebody comes that drinks tea. Well, here's my reality. People who drink tea today are quite used to drinking it out of a mug. So this is called, I don't need 12 teacups without saucers. Why do you need two for the air mattress? How often do your visitors stay long enough that you need to change the sheets before they go? Do you understand what I'm saying? What I realize now is yes, I have a set of sheets for my spare bed, but I only need one set because people normally stay for less than a week, in which case, yeah. So, that's part of the process, right? How many comforters have I got in my house? I mean, that's something I've got to really look at. I've got about 3 in my trailer. I've got a couple behind my couch. I've got one on the spare bed. All right, so, it's like, really, how many comforters do I need? So this is where your thinking is. So that's all that I want to share with you. If you're trying to downsize your life, if you are trying to deal with 5 different areas of your life at the same time, what I'm suggesting is downsize it. Just work on one. Take one area that you'd like to fix. Yeah, Jody, you have got a thing about linens and towels. What would happen if you had to give away half to somebody who needed them? Like, right? And I that's what I'm saying is what I found about downsizing. It's amazing how it changes your mentality, because I'm starting to downsize things I've already downsized because I can now. And how much more space would it give you, Jody? I'm not sure how many square feet your place is, but if you got rid of just half, not all of them, you're still allowed to have more than you need. I'm sure half will still leave you plenty. Right. And so therefore, your greater need is for a new set, maybe for the hospital bed, right? Because sometimes maybe you can't get them washed and dried in a day. So therefore, look about that and say, okay, fine. Let me donate half and let me start working towards a new set for my hospital bed. And that is all that I am suggesting to you all, which is if you want to know where to start doing this. What have I got way too much of? If you want to simplify your life, what have you got way too much of? And I'm surprised that the biggest area of things I had is clothes and food. How many of you got way too much food in your house? Yeah, but what if we have an earthquake? I want to be prepared. Or what if, da 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 da. My experience is most of the food that was in my house, had expired. It was time for it to go. All right, so Sakura's saying they got 20 blankets in their house. All right, there are 2 of them. They've got 20 blankets. You know what I would do, Sakura? I would put those into a couple of big see-through bags so you can see that they are blankies. And then come the winter, I would go, as it starts to get cold, I would go to where the homeless people are. And I would start giving away blankets and feel the joy of that. Yes, Jody. And this is the whole thing. By the way, canned food lasts longer than their expiry date on a can. You do know that. And so again, Jody, what if you packed some of it up and gave it to your church to give to people in need, along with, a few extra sheets and towels, because I am certain there are members of the congregation of your church that need something. Or, and what I would do, yeah, the food bank would love it too, yes. So what I'm trying to do is to encourage you all to take a step. That's all. All right? Take a step in the direction that you want to go. One step at a time. That's what we do on Friday lunchtime. I'm hoping that some of you found this helpful. And if so, what is it that you found helpful? You know, what I want to know is, what did you hear today that you went, I can do that? It is really important in our lives to keep challenging our why do I do that side. I keep looking at my huge bedroom. I have a monstrous sized bedroom. And I am aware that one of the things I'm going to be really sad to lose is that big bedroom. All right. And the scary part is that if I downsize to a big fifth wheel or a tiny house or something like that, you know, I'm going to have to downsize that down to probably the length of my bed. I'm going, that would be a little challenging for me. I like to think that, exploring our fears is always a good thing to do. And that's why I suggested you bring a notepad and paper and start just looking at them occasionally, going, what am I hanging on to? Not only my emotional baggage, but what physical stuff am I hanging on to? And that's what I hope that you could see today. So clean up your life and make space for your things you really want. And enjoy the things you really want, because they're not being cluttered up by the things that you don't. All right. So this is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that it's made a little clink of sense to some of you. I am off to go and do some more work on clearing up my life. And in the meantime, I'm going to give you all a big hug. Remember to look after one another. But as usual, please, please, please start off by looking after yourself. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, have fun, enjoy your life, and clean it up a little. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, bye bye for now.